Dear students, I have a news for you. The pattern regarding Russian formalism has changed completely, and this is the new pattern. Net examination question 2025 June. Go for the four different options. Date of the author, what is an author, air on the living body, and what is new formalism. So this is the name of the essay they already given in the June examination of 2025 net. Go for the CUET PG question paper of 2023. They have given list 1 and list 2. List 2 is all about the interpretation and list 1 is all about the critical terms. Just go for the four different terms they have given. New criticism, new historicism, new formalism, new humanism. Can you see? They have introduced the concept of new new formalism already in the CUET PG examination, and their target is the net examination later. In the net examination of June 2026 or the December 2026, you are going to confront questions based on new formalism. I don't think anyone is going to tell you. So this is the lecture that we are going to deal with the Russian formalism and the foundation of new formalism. So when you are going to go for the net examination, you are not going to miss 2 questions or 4 questions, whether it is going to be based on new formalism or Russian formalism. Hello there, I'm Avik, and with me you're watching Your Literary World. Now let's go to the slide that you can see in your screen and I can see in my another mobile. The heading is Russian formalism and first is year. From now on you are going to point out and write down the things that I am going to tell you. Ek bich is miss hona nahi chahiye. That is the promise that you have to give. First is year. Russian formalism came in 1910 as a movement. Whenever you are going to find out the term ISM in the end, you can consider it as a movement. Russian formalism, new historicism, Marxism, structuralism, post-structuralism, but not deconstruction. Deconstruction is a methodology in already existing idea of post-structuralism. All right, there is no such thing as deconstructionism. So when it comes to Russian formalism, it is coming in 1910. Now the definition. Just think you are in a room. That room you cannot listen to any voice from the outside. That is formalism. They are saying that I have a text and that text only matters. We do not care about what is coming from outside, any kind of noise. And noise means religious, politics, any kind of social issues or societal issues. So a text is completely free from all the external influences. All the things which you need is in the text. Just like we are in the room is from everything. Whatever you need, food or game or anything, you can find it in the room. There is no need to go outside of the room. In the outside we have the history, we have the politics, we have the society. So the the formalists, specifically the Russian formalists, those who are coming from the very beginning, they are saying that remain in the room, do not go outside, and the room is equals to the book. So book is the primary source. There is no need to create any kind of external references outside of the text. This is their main idea, and this is known as autonomy. So they are saying that when you are completely detaching the outside influences from the text is going to get the autonomous identity. And this term autonomous identity or autonomy, it is very important for your net examination. Okay, so it is very important for your net examination. So the autonomous idea of the text, that it needs nothing else from the outside. The text itself is completely full. Second is purity. They are saying that no external references is needed. We are going to go for rhetorical devices. We are going to go for meter. We are going to go for rhymes. These meter, rhyme and rhetorical devices equals to form. So Russian formalism, form. So form equals to rhyme, meter, rhetorical devices. And they are saying that if you want to interpret a text, it is the 3 of these things are needed. Primarily those who are coming from the very beginning. Now there are total 3 groups in Russian formalism that you have to note down. First is Moscow linguistic circle. Obviously we are talking about Russia, so Moscow is going to come. So first is Moscow linguistic circle, second is OPOJAZ, OPOYAZ, and third is Prague linguistic circle. There are some histories which are related to that. When you are going to confront the conceptual questions regarding Russian formalism, the information that now I am going to providing you is going to be crucial. So first is Moscow Linguistic Circle. It was created predominantly by Roma Jakobson. So Jakobson equals to Moscow Linguistic Circle. This thing that you have to be in your mind, and it was developed in 1915. In the exam, they are going to ask you there are total 3 schools. Now give us in chronological order what you are going to do then. So first is Moscow Linguistic Circle. It was developed by Roma Jakobson and it was established in 1915. After Moscow Linguistic Circle, we have OPOJAZ, School of Poetic Development of the School of Poetic Language, and this was developed by Viktor Shklovsky. Roma Jakobson was part of it. At the same time, we have Boris Eichenbaum. At the same time, Tynyanov. So these 4 writers predominantly are the part of the OPOJAZ group, and it was developed in 1916. And after that, finally, we have the Prague Linguistic Circle. The Prague Linguistic Circle, they are more inclined toward the structuralism. So they are inclined towards the, you can see, the structuralist understanding of formalism. All right, this is known as Prague Linguistic Circle. Roma Jakobson was also the founder of the Prague Linguistic Circle with René Wallach, Wellek. Just remember the name, René Wallach. And when you are going to talk about René Wallach, there is another writer who is going to come, Austin Warren. All right, so these things that are needed: 1915, 1916, 1930. Now those who are quite a bit of aware about the history, all of a sudden Prague Linguistic Circle, it is not related to Russia, it is coming from Czech Republic. So what happened? So when it comes to the Russian formalism, when they were practicing that only form is needed, we do not need any kind of history, we do not need any politics, any kind of society or anything, on that time the Soviet Communist Party was in the rule, and when they were in the rule, the Russian formalists, they were criticized heavily. So the Moscow Linguistic Circle and the group OPOJAZ, both of these groups, they are criticized heavily, whether they are going for the university or outside anything. They have been labeled as elitist. All those communist people, those who are saying that no, if you are reading literature, you cannot say, oh, only the device, oh, only the form, oh, only the rhyme, oh, only the meter. Not at all. History is related. You cannot separate history from text at all. This is the idea of the communist parties. But on the contrary, the Russian formalists, predominantly Boris Eichenbaum, Viktor Shklovsky, they were saying, no, 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 we do not need any kind of history or anything. We are going to focus only on the forms itself, rhyme, meter, devices and all. All right, and that's the reason they faced heavy criticism, and they were forced to move from Moscow to Czech Republic. And on that Czech Republic, at the same time, when Roma Jakobson visited to America, he also focused on the form itself. But although at the same time he shifted his idea from form to the socio-political development also, not fully form. All right, we are going to talk about these things later, but these are the 3 things that you have to remember. So Moscow Linguistic Circle is coming first in 1915, then OPOJAZ 1916. Those who are developing it is important. They are going to ask you in the chronological order in terms of the writers also. So Moscow Linguistic Circle, Roma Jakobson, Viktor Shklovsky, Boris Eichenbaum, Tynyanov, these all are part of OPOJAZ. And when you are going to go for the Prague Linguistic Circle, when they are completely gone from Russia because of the heavy criticism of the Communist Party, they developed the Prague Linguistic Circle. It was more inclined towards structuralism. On the other hand, if you go for the Moscow Linguistic Circle, they are more inclined towards phonetics, phonology, linguistics. All right, these things that you have to be careful of. So Prague Linguistic Circle, it is coming in 1930. It was when they had been like abandoned from the Moscow linguists from the Soviet Union, and they went to Czech Republic and they developed Prague Linguistic Circle. These are the important information that you need. Now let's move on. Okay, conflict done, schools done. So okay, device equals to hero. It is developed by OPOJAZ group 1916, not by Moscow Linguistic Circle, not by the developed, it was not developed by Prague Linguistic Circle. So device equals to the hero of literature. Device, write it down. Device is the hero of literature. It was developed by OPOJAZ group. This is the thing that you have to remember. So OPOJAZ equals to device is the hero of literature. It means that the rhyme, meter, all the literary devices, these are the things are only needed, nothing else. Father of formalism, it is known as Viktor Shklovsky. Viktor Shklovsky is known as the father of Russian formalism, although there are some doubts, but still you can consider Viktor Shklovsky as the father of Russian formalism. Now let's go for Shklovsky. Now the moment that you're going to confront the name Viktor Shklovsky, first term that you have to remember, it is the technique, technique. He was talking about technique, and he has a famous essay known as art as technique. Write it down, in the net examination they're going to ask art as technique. It is his famous essay. Sometimes it is known as art as device, sometimes it is known as art as technique, sometimes it is known as the art as device. All the things that I am uttering right now, all these things are very important, very crucial. Miss anything, you are going to miss your 2 to 4 marks, I can give you the guarantee. So art as technique or art as device, this is the name of the chapter. And in which book it came? It was known as the theory of prose. Theory of prose, prose में आया है, poetry में नहीं. In the theory of prose, he developed the concept of defamiliarization, also known as estrangement, also known as Ostranenie, and uh, it was coming in the essay known as art as device or art as technique. Clear? You wrote it? Congratulations. Now let's move on. Ostranenie. All right. So Ostranenie, also known as defamiliarization, remember the term, also known as estrangement. It is more about effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. Why I am talking about it? Because when we are going to read about the concept of foregrounding, which is related to Russian formalism, you are going to find this kind of problematic understanding, like the poetic language, the poetic function and the metalingual function. You're going to find out this kind of confusion. That's the reason what I am saying right now, it is going to be crucial, because I'm going to repeat it later in different way. So when it comes to the concept of defamiliarization, it is the effect on the reader used by the author. And when it is dealing with the author, we are going to use the term foregrounding. When you are going to dealing with the idea which is known as effect, it is known as defamiliarization. So defamiliarization is the effect which is on the reader, those who are reading a specific text, it is the effect on them. Why defamiliarization is needed and what is defamiliarization? I'm going to talk about it. Say for example, his eyes are beautiful. If I say that his eyes are beautiful, you're going to say, oh, like, what with that? It is normal language, isn't it true? Yes, it is normal language. But all of a sudden, if I say that look at his eyes like pearls, so I'm creating an association, na, like pearls. Say for example, if I say it is raining, it is normal language. Everyone speaks that, oh, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining. Whether you are going to go for India, Pakistan, America, Australia, Japan, Italy, everyone is going to tell it is raining. So it is a common language, the language of the commoners. It is the habituated language. It is the automatic language. But all of a sudden, if I say that the sky is heavy and that's the reason she is crying, the sky is heavy, that's the reason she is crying. So can you see? I have a common language and I have transformed the language into something which is beautiful poetic form. And when you are listening to the language, oh, the sky is heavy and that's the reason she is crying, it is creating kind of an effect na to you. And ऐसे भी बोला जा सकता है, can I speak it in that way also? This is defamiliarization. It is creating an effect where the regular things that you watch in daily life, which is habituated, which is automatic, all those habituated automatic ideas are going to be disrupted by defamiliarization. Defamiliarization is saying that we do not need automatic habituated ideas, we need the human consciousness. The more you are going to be conscious, the more you are going to see the beauty of it. And specifically when it comes to Viktor Shklovsky, he is talking about the poetic beauty rather than prose. So he was more inclined towards poetry, all right, not the prose. Prose equals to, you can say, the language of the commoners. We are going to go for the classification of it by Roma Jakobson, the literariness, the concept of the poetic language and the ordinary language. I'm just giving you the brief right now so that you can connect. So defamiliarization is the effect which is happening on the reader when they are perceiving a text, a language, and they are saying, क्या beautiful language hai re, what a beautiful language, what a sensation that I am feeling right now. So these are all sensation based. Defamiliarization is sensation based. Defamiliarization is breaking the habit. Defamiliarization is breaking the automatic habit, the habituation, and it is giving you a new idea. Obviously idea is old, but it is presented in a way that you are going to say, oh, I am mesmerized, I am amazed. If all of a sudden, if I say, if you visit the past, everyone knows visit the past, but if I say that if you just visit the memory lane, can you see the term memory lane? it is talking about the past. So by using some different sentences, I can simply disrupt your ideas of familiarity, and I can create a defamiliar idea, a complete new idea. आइडिया पुराना है बट ऐसे प्रेजेंट किया गया है वहां पे कि बढ़िया है. It is old, but the way it has presented, it looks like new. It is a fresh perception, you can say. All right. So this is known as defamiliarization. It is clear or not. It is reader oriented. Like I am seeing that things, hence it is creating effect on me. When writer is doing, it is known as foregrounding. It is the methodology that the writer is using. But when I am going through that thing, when it has been affected on me, it is creating an effect on me, it is known as defamiliarization or Ostranenie. All right. So defamiliarization or Ostranenie is always going to be based on the reader. On the other hand, the concept of foregrounding, it is going to be based on the writer. So writer creates the technique is known as foregrounding, and by using that technique, it is creating an effect on me, on the readers, and the reader oriented thing, it is known as Ostranenie or defamiliarization. It is used in order to kill or in order to eliminate completely or nullify completely the automatic habituated habits. All right. So ये हो गया defamiliarization. Let's move on. Lay-bare and metafiction. All right, so he created another idea which is known as lay-bare. By the way, when it comes to defamiliarization, you are going to get the slide that I am using right now. So when it comes to the idea of defamiliarization, there is an essay, short story known as Shame, Shame, of Leo Tolstoy, and he interpreted the specific work which is known as Shame, Shame, of Leo Tolstoy by Viktor Shklovsky, where he says that how Ostranenie or defamiliarization is working. Clear or not? So Shame, it is important. It is written by Leo Tolstoy that Viktor Shklovsky used in order to interpret defamiliarization. The name of the essay is Art as Device or Art as Technique by Viktor Shklovsky, and the name of the book in which the chapter Art as Device appeared, The Theory of Prose, Prose. All right, now let's go for lay-bare. Here in concept of lay-bare, he used the work which is known as Tristram Shandy. All right, so he says that if you just visit the idea, the entire story of Tristram Shandy, you are going to find out that the writer is going to make you vigilant. Like if you are reading a book, the book is not going to tell you you are the writer, but here the book itself is telling you that you are the reader, and reader, this is the chronological sequence that I am going to follow in this book. So book or the writer is telling to you that reader, this is the chronological sequence that I am going to follow. Sometimes you are going to follow the chronological sequence, sometimes you are not going to follow the chronological sequence. The book itself is telling its structure. So when the book is going to tell itself to you, to us, to the reader, its structure, it is known as lay-bare. Just a second. It is known as lay-bare. All right, so lay-bare is like clear or not. When the book is going to reveal its own structure, the book is telling you that reader, we are not going to follow the chronological sequence of the story. Reader, this happened, but we have to move on to the other stuff of that. So it is making you vigilant, it is making you constant, but at the same time it is talking its own structure. All right, clear hai? This is known as lay-bare. And in terms of lay-bare, it developed another genre which is known as metafiction. So you can say the idea of Russian formalism specifically influenced total 3 ism and 1 genre. If you go for the narratology, Russian formalism influenced that. We are going to talk about it right now. If you go for post-structuralism and deconstruction, you are going to find out that Russian formalism influenced these specific theories also. And if you go for new criticism, you are going to find out the importance of Russian formalism in new criticism. But in the exam, if they ask you that what specific genre Russian formalism influenced and then it developed, it was metafiction. Meta language yaad hai? Metafiction. So the fiction is going to tell its own structure. It is known as metafiction. But in fiction Fiction is not going to tell its own structure. Only metafiction is going to tell its own structure, because it is using the idea of labor. It is using the idea of defamiliarization. So you can say the perfect example of Russian formalism can be seen in the development of metafiction. Write it down. Metafiction, the text itself is going to tell its own structure to us, to reader. Defamiliarization, reader. Foregrounding, writer. Defamiliarization, effect. Foregrounding, technique through which we are experiencing that. Clear or not? पानी पी लो, तुम भी पी लो. चलो, गला सूख जाता है sometimes. Okay, it's done. Now we have another concept which is known as third factory. Although it's the name of the book, but in the examination they're going to ask you how many factories are there according to Viktor Shklovsky. You have to write there are total 3 factories. The first factory is the childhood as well as his family. Second factory is the OPOJAZ, the School of Poetic Language, all right, 1916. And the third factory is his development, or you can say his work in the Soviet Union for the movies. So he has a great influence on the movies also. Okay, these are the 3 factories that you have to remember. And when it comes to the development of the movies and the film theory, like you can say Viktor Shklovsky is can be considered as one of the earliest writer in terms of film theory, and he used the concept or the technique, you can say, or the effect defamiliarization in movies also. All right, so this is the end of Viktor Shklovsky, although there is another term which is known as Fabula and Syuzhet. So what is Fabula and what is Syuzhet? These are part of narratology that Viktor Shklovsky and Vladimir Prop, the writer of the Morphology of the Folktale, which was published in 1928, in the exam they have asked. So these writers, Vladimir Prop and Viktor Shklovsky, they developed 2 ideas which is known in terms of narratology. These are part of narratology. That's the reason I'm saying Russian formalism influenced the idea of narratology. So they gave 2 ideas. One is known as Fabula, second is known as Syuzhet. You can see these terms in your screen also. मेरे पास भी सेम ही है, देखो यही मैं फॉलो कर रहा हूँ जो तुमको यहाँ पे पढ़ा रहा हूँ मैं. हाँ, कुछ लिख के आता नहीं हूँ still. So what is the meaning of Fabula? Fabula means the small facts which are related to chronology. And what is Syuzhet? By using those facts when you are developing an entire story. Truth, like let me provide you an example. Go for Macbeth. I hope that all of you have studied Macbeth. If you did not study, go for this summary of Macbeth again. Only summary is needed. So what is, like, if you go through Macbeth, what is that? Witches are coming. Witches confronted Macbeth. Macbeth created a dark ambition against the king, and after that he murdered the king. He became the king, and later he was killed. This is the idea now when it comes to Macbeth. This is known as Fabula. So you are just providing small parts which cannot be considered as the entire story. Small parts. If you say that who won the 2011 World Cup, you're going to say, okay, Dhoni hit 6, we won the World Cup. Is that even true? The World Cup is about 2 things. We won the World Cup and Dhoni hit 6. Not at all. They are different things. Like, these are only small parts. You are going to use that small parts in order to create an entire story. So you can say these are the pillars, and on the pillar we have the house. So house is the Syuzhet, and the pillars, these are all known as facts. These are known as Fabula. So as I was saying, that the small parts, witches came, Macbeth confronted witches, Macbeth created a dark ambition to erase the king, and then he became the king, then he killed his own friend, and then Lady Macbeth went mad, and at the same time Macbeth was killed. It is the basic story, small parts. If you want to ask someone to give me the entire story within 30 seconds, that 30-second part, it is the Fabula. But when you are going to provide the entire story, this is known as like the story I'm talking about. When you are going to talking about the entire story, this is like this plot. You are going to use the plot in order to construct the story. This is known as Syuzhet. So if you just visit the same idea of Macbeth, you are going to say, okay, 3 witches came, they meet Macbeth, it created an ambition, but when they tried to entice Banquo also, Banquo said, I don't need anything. but which is predicted lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy yet much happier. Then Macbeth met his king Duncan. When Duncan provided the famous speech, "There is no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built my absolute trust." Thane of Cawdor. He said that thing now. And after that, Macbeth says, "Stars, hide your fire, let not see my black and deep desires." Then he murdered king. And he says that the all multitudinous sea is incarnadine, making the green one lead. "Oh, full of scorpions in my mind, dear wife." And what Lady Macbeth said? That the little water would wash away the evidence of the dead. And what happened? "All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand." Oh, oh, oh. Same Lady Macbeth who said that a little water could wash away the evidence of the dead. Pani said, "Holo, wash your hand with little water. All the things that you have done, gone." And the same Lady Macbeth, she became mad. "All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand." She delivered these speeches now. So Macbeth is all about only those facts that I said. He met, he conquered, he became king, he killed. Nope. There are many things of that. We have the entire story. So when we have entire story, it is known as Syuzhet. When we are talking about small facts like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, it is known as Fabula. बहुत ज़्यादा बोल दिया इस चीज़ को लेकर के, भूल ना होना examination में. Do not make it a mess. All right. Okay, so we are done with Viktor Shklovsky. Let's go for Eichenbaum. All right, so he provided the idea of Russian formalism equals to science. So what is the meaning of science? If I say 2 plus 2 equals to 4, it is true or not? You are going to say yes. This is science that can be proven wrong. Now you are going to tell me, "Sir, you said 2 plus 2 equals to 4. Can it be proven wrong?" Yes. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to 4. 3 plus 1, 4. 8 minus 4, 4. It's happening now. So when I am saying, like he says, like Boris Eichenbaum, he says that formalism equals to science. Remember that in the examination, although it's kind of a high-tech pattern, but in the examination they might ask you that who says that formalism equals to science, and you must identify na कि what is the logic behind that. हम तो मूर्ख हैं नहीं. Formalism equals to science. Done. It's not like that. You must identify that why formalism equals to science. Damn it. So just keep that thing in your mind, although it is not fixing, still we have to go with that. So he says that whatever can be proven wrong can be considered as science. Whatever can be proven wrong can be considered as science. This is the definition of Karl Popper, and he took that idea of Karl Popper, although maybe Karl Popper came later, after like he came after Boris Eichenbaum, but never mind. So Boris Eichenbaum says that if something which may be a theory, which may be a rule, can be proven wrong, this can be considered as a science. For example, Russian formalism is saying that form. There is no need for the external evidences. Just go from the form. Text is only needed. Text is completely free from all the external influences. These are the idea of the formalists, those who are coming from the very beginning, which is, you can say, the part of Viktor Shklovsky's idea. All right, it is true. But if you go for the idea of new formalism, they are saying that no, you cannot separate the text from the history, from the politics, from the religion, from the society. So the beginning of formalism, which you can see those who are mad of the purity of the text, purity of the interpretation, they have been turned down. They are contrasted completely, isn't it true? And this contrasting element, it is making Russian formalism as a scientific theory. So science means something which can be considered as right, then with time it is going to be wrong. Now today 2 plus 2 equals to 4. Everyone knows only to achieve 4, 2 plus 2. No one knows different methods. But all of a sudden people are going to say 2 plus 2 equals to 4. But 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 8 minus 4. Through that we can achieve the 4 also. So 1 plus 2 plus 2 is going to be false. If someone is going to say 3 plus 1 equals to 4, that person is saying only 3 plus 1 equals to 4. So 2 plus 2 became false. 3 plus 1, 4 right now. If someone is going to come and tell 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to 4, then 3 plus 1 is going to be irrelevant. Now someone who is saying that 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to 4, it is true, it is science. But all of a sudden when someone is going to tell 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals to 4, that 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is going to be false. So 2 plus 1 plus 1 is going to be science. Something which can be proven as wrong, that can be considered as science. It's simple as that. Every man has fair skin. All of a sudden you can see that one person, only one person, having the dark skin. So the first idea, which is known as every person has fair skin, is going to become the false, and it is the science. Now 99% people are white and 1% people are black. All of a sudden a brown man come. All right, now we are going to say that 98%, like the past, is going to be the false. Then now the theory is 98% are white, 1% black, 1% brown. These are the known as the theory of falsification, which is related to Boris Eichenbaum, the theory of science, which is Russian formalism. So Russian formalism right now, which we have right now, can be proven wrong in the future, and then future can be proven wrong in the next future. This is known as the science. So it is going on and on and on. It's a dynamic process. No one is going to tell you what is it is science. Everyone is going to tell you science, science, science. It is coming from Karl Popper theory of falsification. मैंने source भी बोल दिया, देख लेना. Okay, now we are entering to the precursor, you can say, of new formalism. Tynyanov system of systems. Tynyanov. Tynyanov. Tynyanov system of systems. This is the idea that we have to read here. Can you see it? I don't think so. Okay, so this is now you can see system of system. So what is system of systems? If you go for new formalism, they are saying that we cannot completely delete the history or the politics or the religion or the society. The same thing is said by Tynyanov from the very beginning. So we can say Tynyanov, I cannot say the father of new formalism, but we can consider him as a precursor of new formalism. Just like we can say Coleridge, Matthew Arnold, T.S. Eliot, F.R. Lewis, these are all precursors of new criticism. Same like that. So he can be considered as a precursor of new formalism. So what is system of systems? System of systems. Two system total. One is one system and second is systems, different systems. What is the first system? First system is the text. It is the first system. And what is the second system or systems? Religion, politics, history, society, anything. So the first system, which is you can say the text, is going to interact with the systems or different systems or one system, and then you can find out that they are related. For example, Dhurandhar movie. All right, so in the Dhurandhar movie, if you like Dhurandhar 2 the Revenge, if you go to the conclusion, you are going to find out that there is a person in Pakistan who is saying like this kind of symbols he is providing, and like if you just visit only the movie, you are going to tell, oh, like this is the movie, this is the art, that's the end of the story. But if you go through YouTube right now, you are going to find out Shehbaz Sharif, if I'm not wrong, this is the name of the PM. The PM, what he is doing with Donald Trump, like this. Those who have watched the Dhurandhar movie, they can relate. It is the relation. So in the Dhurandhar movie, if Dhurandhar movie is the text right now, we have the external influence, which is the politics. So politics is influencing this system. This is known as system of systems. One system, Dhurandhar movie, which is the text, it is related to other system, which is politics, which can be considered as conspiracy, which can be considered as, you can say, kind of a motive through which break another country. We do not know, I'm just saying. So this is known as system of system, when one relation can be found in another relation, and first relation is the text. If you just go through the idea of Russian formalism, they are saying that only the text is needed. All right, so he says that specifically, if you go for the deeper understanding of Russian formalism, text is important. But if you go for the, like in the examination, if they ask you that what is the chronology of the importance, in terms of importance, what is the chronology of Russian formalism? First it is the content, second is the content, and first it is the literary devices. So form is important, then the content. Text is important, text is not irrelevant, but text is second. What is inside of the text? The form, rhetoric, prosody, rhyme, meter, all the literary devices, these are primary. So forms are primary, content is secondary. All right. So this is the thing that you have to remember when it comes to Russian formalism. I भूल गया था इसलिए बोल दिया. It's related. Okay, so our last idea is Roma Jakobson. Roma Jakobson is huge. Okay, so Roma Jakobson, first his rejection and his structuralist idea. As I was saying, that when he went to Prague linguistic circle, he went to the idea of structuralism, which René Wallach, and René Wallach was related to Austin Warren. All right, this thing that you have to remember. So the idea of Roma Jakobson, it is predominantly inclined towards the primary Russian formalism. At the same time, he inclined towards more of a structuralist understanding, Roma Jakobson, but also he is a formalist. All right, but he moved from the formalism. He was going for the communication. So if you go for the understanding of structuralism, it is all about the language, it is all about the communication. There's a reason Russian formalism, if you go for the idea of Roma Jakobson, he says there are total 6 functions of language. Isn't it true? We are going to talk about these things. So he rejected the very earlier form of Russian formalism, which says that only the devices are important, the text is not important, the content is not important, but the objective, the object that we have to rescue, it is the inside, the rhetorics or the forms. He rejected the idea, but he was more inclined towards the formalist understanding. He also contributed in the translation theory also. It is going to be important. I'm going to talk about it. Just wait. Okay, so his rejection, his structural understanding হয়ে গেল. Ordinary versus poetic language. If you go for the idea of his theory, he says that there are total 2 languages. First is ordinary language, second is poetic language. What is poetic language? Which is defamiliarization, which can be seen as we have devices, rhetorical devices, forms, the unfamiliar understanding. It's creating a kind of sensation in your perception, in your skin. These are all poetic language. And when it comes to formalism, they're more inclined to understand the poetic language in the first place. After that, we have the ordinary language. Ordinary language, also known as prosaic language, that we are using in terms of communication. Right now, what I am using, I'm using the prosaic language, the ordinary language. So it is the classification which was made by Roma Jakobson. Already I talked about that thing in Russian formalism of Viktor Shklovsky. But still, I'm saying there are total 2 differences. Ordinary language, which is used by commoners like us when it comes to the daily communication, and another is poetic language. And in terms of poetic language, we have the language of the poetry, which is based on forms and devices. And since we are talking about the language, he also developed the idea of phonology. Remember the idea, remember the term, क्या बोल रहा हूँ, remember the thing that Roma Jakobson influenced phonology. All right, now since we are talking about the concept of language, the ordinary language, he created 6 functions. He says that language primarily talks about 6 different things, not one. If you go for the earlier Russian formalists, they were saying that the purpose of the content, which is the text, is only one, to find out or to identify the devices or the forms which are in it. But when it comes to Russian formalism later, when it comes to the Roma Jakobson, he says that no, text is not, or the language itself is not having only one purpose. It has total 6 purposes, and these 6 purposes are known as 6 functions. All right, is it clear? So there are total 6 functions that you have to remember. In the net examination, they might ask you in the chronological order, so try to understand and try to remember. Now there are total 6 functions. First is when it comes to emotive, emotive, it is the first function. What is the meaning of emotive? Emotive means when it is talking about the subject's feeling. Subjects means I, मैं. When I am talking about my feelings, this is known as emotive. Like I am very happy, I am sad, I am cheerful. These are all talking about my feelings, isn't it true? So when I am talking about my feelings, or when we are talking about the subject's feelings, say for example, if I go for Macbeth, so stars hide your fire, let not see my black and deep desire. So who is the subject in here? It's Duncan, it's Lady Macbeth, or Macbeth. So we are talking about his emotions, isn't it true? What is his emotions? Vaulting ambition. He's talking about ambitions. So it is the emotive. Second, we have conative. What is the meaning of conative? It is when someone is ordering something. Say for example, close the door, open the window, note down. So this is known as conative function. Understand? Emotive is subjective, conative is equals to kind of, you can say, authoritative. It is command. I am commanding you, I am ordering you. All right. Like stars hide your fire, it is also conative. I am asking stars to hide its fire, it's a command. Third is referential. So what is the meaning of referential? Referential means something which is based on context, context. Now it is raining and we are talking. I am I'm recording the video, people are shouting outside. It is the context. So something when it is based on context, it is known as referential code. Like Midnight's Children, what is the context in it? Can you tell me? Write in the comment section. What is the context in Midnight's Children? All right, just like go for the context of Macbeth. It is the desire that was implanted by witches. So desire is the context here. Murdering the king is the context here. Becoming the king is the context here. All right, so these are the context. So kya kya hua? Emotive done, conative done, referential done. Now we have phatic, Phatic. Phatic means to check whether the communication is working or not. Hey, are you there? Hey, can you listen me? Is everything all right? When I am saying something, all right, you note it down. This is the phatic. You are checking whether everyone is communicating or not. I am giving you a lecture. Now at the same time I am saying that, did you write it down? It is important. Now I am trying to create a communication which could be lost, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, I do not know. It is the phatic. So phatic is equals to creating the communication, which is maybe we have or maybe we do not have. So something when the communication is going on, remember this, when the communication is going on, when I am trying to create or check the communication is happening or not, is it one-sided or two-sided, this is known as phatic. When it is, I am checking it is two-sided or not. All right. Then we have the poetic function, and then we have the metalingual function. So what is the poetic function? Remember, when it comes to poetic function, it is about the message, message, and when it comes to the poetic function, it is about the devices we have in the poetry. Poetic function means poetry. When we have the devices, it is known as poetic functions, like metonymy, metaphor, synecdoche, simile, irony, apostrophe. These are all devices. These are all devices, and rhyme, couplet, everything. So when we are talking about poetry and when we are talking about the forms of poetry, the examples that I gave, metonymy, metaphor, this is known as poetic. And poetic equals to message. Poetic equals to message. Likho, write it down. Now we have the meta language or metalingual function. It is, these are all by Jakobson. All right. So when it comes to metalingual function, he says that in metalingual function, it is the language which talks about the language, and this is known as code, CODE. So poetic language is the message, metalingual function or meta language, it is the code. Clear? In metalingual function or in meta language, interchangeably I am using, it is talking about the language itself. So language is talking about language itself. Metafiction na, fiction is talking about its own ideas, its own structure, lay bare. So fiction is talking about its own fixification. Same when it comes to meta language, language is talking about language. Now how it is done? I am drinking water. I am drinking water. Now you are going to ask me, sir, how can it be metalingual? It is language based. I am drinking. So drinking is verb. Water, noun. So language, I am drinking water, it is a language. But if you dissect the language, अगर language को खोल दो पूरी तरीके से, you are going to find out subject, verb, object, the rule through which it is creating. Underlying structure, you can say. So metalanguage is all about the underlying structure. Underlying structure is related to structuralism. All right, we're going to talk about it when it comes to further into socio. So metalanguage is all about the underlying structure, a language which has its own structure. Subject, verb, object. I drink water. I, subject. Verb, drink. Water, object. But object also has segregation. Proper noun, common noun. First it is noun, then you are segregating proper noun or common noun. All right. So language itself is talking about itself. From first it is subject, verb, object. Then from object we have noun. Then from noun we have segregations of noun, proper noun, common noun. Clear? These are the 6 functions of language with meta language I talked about. All right. Uh, the concept of literariness, formalism, Russian formalism equals to literariness. It has been developed by Roma Jakobson. Same, like you cannot separate the form from the outside influences. They are all interlinked like that. Okay, now we have dominant. Okay, the concept of dominant. So what is dominant? As I was saying that there are 6 functions, but when you are in a speech, when you are communicating with each other, you are going to find out of these 6 functions, one function is dominant. Say for example, you are obviously listening to me, but at the same time I am dictating. Write your notes, what I am saying, write it down. So I am dictating now. So out of these 6 functions, the connotative function, the authorial function, the order function, which is active. So Roma Jakobson says that whether you are going for any kind of communication, only one aspect can be dominant. Out of these 6 functions, only one function can be dominant. But if we purely talk about the poetry, it is the poetic, like the poetic function, which is going to be dominant. No other function is going to be dominant in the poetic function of the reading of the poetry. It is the idea of Roma Jakobson. So at the same time, you can see that he first says that there are 6 functions, and these 6 functions, you can say context matters. The differential function, he says that context matter, but at the same time he is also going back to the old Russian formalism, where he says that in poetry only one function is going to be the crucial one, which is the poetic function, and this purpose of that poetic function is to find out the aestheticness. What is the meaning of aestheticness? Autonomy of the text, purity of the text, literary forms of the text. So aesthetic equals to these 3 qualities. We already talked about that thing. Autonomy, defamiliarization, foregrounding. Clear or not? So autonomy equals, aestheticness equals to autonomy, defamiliarization, foregrounding, literary forms, which is devices, rhetorics, every single thing, and purity. So when we are completely segregating all the outside influences, 52 minutes ho gaya. When we are completely segregating the outside influences, we have only the aesthetic quality. And in the poetic language, the poetic function is dominant, which is the aesthetic quality. And when we are communicating, one aspect is going to be dominant. This is the purpose, this is the idea of the concept of dominant. All right, ek strong hoga, one is going to be strong. In poetry, the aesthetic function, the poetic function is going to be strong, and in other functions it can be anything. If they're say for example politicians, what politicians are doing, they are trying to influence us. So it is also part of conative. Whether I am ordering, whether I am trying to influence you, these are all part of conative function. True, like clear or not? Okay, now we have the final function, metalingual, poetic, 3 types of translation. So we have now 3 types of translation in front of us. Roma Jakobson says that there are total 3 types of translation. First is inter-translation, second is intra-translation, and second is inter-semiotic. So intra, intra-semiotic. So what is inter? Inter means translation from same languages, for Bengali to another Bengali, not paraphrasing, I am saying translating. Beowulf, it is written in Old English literature, Old English language, but now we have the modern version. But at the same time, you are going to find out J.R.K. Tolkien, it came in 2014, Semasini 1999. Beowulf was translated in English by Semasini 1999, in English by J.R.K. Tolkien. So they are doing the same thing from English to English. So when you are going to find out same language translation, it is known as inter. All right, now we have intra. Intra means from one language to another language. Bengali to Hindi, Hindi to Marathi, Marathi to Tamil, English to Hindi, English to Persian, English to Bengali, Bengali to English. These are all intra. Now we have intrasemiotic. Intrasemiotic means from one sound system to another system, from one written system to another system. For Russian formalism, what is the sound system? What is the written system? Text. So first is, like as I was saying, that intersemiotic means from one system to another system. The first system must be text, novel, poetry, drama, fiction, non-fiction, anything that is from one section to another form, which is non-verbal. For Russian formalism, verbals must be text. From Russian formalism, verbal must be text. For Russian formalism, non-verbals are movies, script, play, cinema जो है वो सब. So this is one part to another part. This is the part of translation. So inter, intra, intrasemiotic. Inter, same language translation. Intra, one language to another. Intrasemiotic, one sound system or one system which is written from to another system which is non-written. Cinema, theater. All right, this is, we are done. Now Mukarovsky foregrounding, I already talked about that thing. I'm going to tell it about again. Aphasia and metaphor, selection problem and similarity. Okay, this is your homework. Metaphor and metonymy. I believe that if you go through YouTube, you are going to find out many videos regarding the aphasia and metaphor. But let me give you the simple idea, because people are going to tell you only metaphor and metonymy, Roma Jakobson. Metaphor, metonymy, Roma Jakobson. It's not like that. He says that there is an idea which is known as aphasia. Aphasia means that, say for example, I am having aphasia. So the development of language is going to be interfered. The way that you are developing the language, I am not going to develop the language in the same way. For example, knife. You know the term knife, but I do not know. Like I know, but I cannot say. I cannot spell knife. So what I'm going to say? Something which can cut. You know, chop, 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 cut, cut, cut. So I am using these words in order to tell you that I am talking about knife. But directly I cannot tell you I am talking about the knife in the first place. If you are a normal person, if you do not have the aphasia, you are going to tell me, oh, knife. Here, there is the knife. But if I cannot see the knife, I know it is a that can I what I am going to say it is a knife. But I cannot say to you knife. It is not coming in my brain. I am saying chop, chop, chop. What can be another, for say for example, examination. All right, you can say, you know, yeah, examination is coming, but I cannot speak examination. मतलब मैं बोल सकता हूँ, I can speak examination, but it is not coming in my head that time. So I'm going to say, you know, stressful situation, NTA conducts 300 total, 150 questions, 300 marks. So you know, oh bhaiya, you're talking about UGC net examination. Oh yes, 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 that examination. So it is the problem of aphasia, when I cannot provide you the entire sentence. I cannot provide you exactly what I want to say. I am going to use different references, different similarities. True or not, this is known as metonymy. Sorry, this is known as aphasia. I'm creating, I am having any kind of problem regarding the creating a kind of similarities. I cannot say knife, but I am saying that, oh, chop, 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 that kind of thing. This is aphasia. At the same time, those who are having the aphasia, they know words, but they cannot create the sentence completely. I drink water. Subject, verb, object. They know words. I, water, no. These things they are aware. But what they are going to tell you? Water, I drink. Drink, I water. But they are not going to tell you, I drink water. If you are a normal person, what you are going to say? I drink water. But if someone is having the aphasia, they are going to say, drink I water. Water drink I. So they are not maintaining the rules. And by that, like by using the example of aphasia, Roma Jakobson says that language is structured in two ways. One is metonymy, second is metaphor. और कुछ है? Okay, so metaphor is known as selection problem, and metonymy, selection means like paradigmatic, syntagmatic, combination, paradigmatic, selection. So when it comes to metaphor, it is paradigmatic. When it comes to metonymy, it is combination. So this is the thing that you have to remember. It is aphasia. When he provided the example of aphasia, this thought came in existence that language can be structured in two ways. One is metaphor, second is metonymy. Metaphor predominantly is about selection problem, which is similarities. Like, I cannot create the similarities in the first place. I'm saying chop, chop, chop. And when it comes to metonymy, they are creating the combination in the first place, which is syntagmatic. Paradigmatic equals to the selection, and syntagmatic equals to combination. So they are not creating the combination in the first place. Not they can be able to create the selection, but normal person can select, can combine. If you cannot understand it, let me know. 9907178418 is the WhatsApp number. You can simply message. Okay, we are done. Now we have Mukarovsky's foregrounding. You have to read it simultaneously. First of all, when it comes to defamiliarization, as I was saying, that defamiliarization is defamiliarization. एक घंटा हो गया. Defamiliarization is all about reader based, and on the other hand, foregrounding equals to writer based. Say for example, his eyes are like tomatoes. All right, his eyes are tomatoes. The moment you listen to the idea, his eyes are like tomatoes, you're going to say, tomatoes, what kind of reference is that? So it's kind of an estrangement feeling, an unfamiliar feeling. If it gives you the unfamiliar feeling, it gives you the effect in you or on you, it is known as defamiliarization. So in defamiliarization, it creates effect by an unfamiliar things that you have never heard of, right? When it comes to Mukarovsky's foregrounding, it is the technique through which you are going to achieve defamiliarization. It can be rhetorical devices, it can be repetition, it can be forms, it can be changing the entire language, does not matter. Say for example, I want to, like, you create this work, like before I am creating this experience that his eyes are like tomatoes, what I am doing? His eyes are like tomatoes. So I am creating the association tomato with the eye. So I am creating it now. So I'm using the methodology by mixing different things in order to make familiar unfamiliar. When I am using this methodology, the methodological based stuff, who is doing? I am doing. I am the writer. So foregrounding is equals to methodology, writer based, that I am doing, through which I am going to achieve defamiliarization. So the result of foregrounding, the, the result of the methodology is defamiliarization. Is it clear or not? Methodology, foregrounding, by using devices, by using repetitions, by using rhetorics, anything. When I'm going to get the result, you are saying, interesting. It is the result. It is defamiliarization. It is not foregrounding. Result, effect is foreground, defamiliarization. But the way I am using those things in order to create it, it is the methodology. You can think, right? So bye.